Continuing on with Chapter 8, which is all about loans, investments and annuities. Our learning intention today for exercise 8b is understanding compound interest loans and investments, money in and money out, using something called the TVM solver. Now, you already know about compound interest, and you've probably met a formula for compound interest, which may or may not look something like this, but it's not needed in this unit. We don't need to know how to put in the amount, initial principal balance and the interest rate and all that. Everything's going to be done for you on something called the TVM solver. Now, to get hold of this device, on your graphics calculator, press the apps button like you did last unit, select finance, and this time enter on finance, and the first thing that you are offered is TVM solver. Select that. These are the screens that you would have seen. The second of my two screens here is the TVM solver. It's got 8 lines of information, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the principle of TVM solver is that if you supply 7 of those variables, it will give you the value of the 8th. Let's see how it works. You need to know what each of these values is asking for. I'll do them one by one on the next slide. Okay, now n is the number of repayments or number of investment additions, and you find out what n is by multiplying the number of years by the frequency per year. So if you're interested in the value of an investment over 6 years, which has quarterly interest payments added to it, that will be 6 times 4 is 24, and so you put n equals 24. Second one, interest. This is where the interest rate per year goes in. So a 5.7% interest rate per year goes in as 5.7 into I. You always put in the annual interest rate in there, regardless of how often it is paid. So that's N and I. Moving on to PV, which stands for present value. At the beginning of a loan or an investment, we talk about the present value as of now. Further down you'll see FV, which stands for the future value, which is at the end of the period of investment or the end of the period that you're interested in. Important principle here is that if we're talking about money into your pocket, that would go in as a positive number, and it's money coming out of your pocket that goes in as a negative number. And you really have to get to grips with this concept. So if you take out a $5,000 loan from a bank, you're actually putting $5,000 into your pocket to spend on a car. So PV is 5,000, not what I had there. PV is 5,000. Sorry about that. On the other hand, if you're saving $2,000 into a term deposit in the bank, that's actually money out of your pocket into the bank. So PV is minus 2,000. Money in your pocket is positive. Money out of your pocket is negative. PMT stands for payment, and it's the amount paid in each payment. If you, for instance, are paying back $100 of your loan each week, paying it back, that's money out of your pocket, so PMT goes in as minus 100. On the other hand, if you've got a big investment and you're taking $700 a quarter out to spend on the pokies or whatever, cost of living, money into your pocket, so PMT is $700 in a quarter. FV, as I've already told you, stands for future value. That's the money at the end of the period. Again, if it's money into your pocket, it's positive, and it's negative if it's going out of your pocket. Also, by the way, it's 0. Correct this as I go. It's 0 if the loan or investment is finished and nothing left in or out. So for example, if you have a $5,000 loan and you want to know how long it'll take to pay it back, you set FV equals 0 and it'll tell you how long to pay it back. On the other hand, if you want to know how long it will take for your savings to grow from say $2,000 to $3,000, the $3,000 at the end of that time will be money back in your pocket, so FV will be 3,000. P/Y is the number of repayments per year, and so is C/Y, and if you change one of them, it'll change the other for you normally. So if you're talking about a quarterly period of payment, put in PY equals 4. If it's monthly, it's 12, and so on. And the last one, which is not actually on the screen on the left, is PMT, end or beginning. That is whether the interest is added at the beginning or the end of each period and leave that as end. We never change that to beginning. Alright, now let's do this in practice, and we're going to use another button called Alpha Solve to do this. So here's my calculator. We've got to use a finance solver to determine the value of the following compound interest loans. This is question 1C of the book, after 2 years, and it's $5,800 borrowed at 5.7% per annum compounded monthly. So I'm going to go apps and enter on finance, and comes up to the TVM solver and a few other things, and press enter again. It's 2 years compounded monthly, so 2 times 12 is 24. Interest rate is 5.7. Present value of a loan, money into your pocket, we're talking about $5,800. Now there's nothing about a repayment here, so we'll leave repayment to 0. What it means is that you borrow $5,800 and you don't pay any of it back. The future value, well, we don't know that. That's the question. It says what is the value, so we'll have to leave that as at 0, and you'll see why in a minute. Payments per year, remember it's monthly, so we want 12. And that changes to that one, 12, automatically. The one we don't know yet is future value. So you put your cursor on the future value line and you press alpha, which is near the top left, and solve, which is the enter button, and that will tell you that after 2 years and monthly interest rate additions at the end of the loan, your loan is now costing you $6,498.61. Notice that it's a negative, which means that that will be money out of your pocket if you're going to have to pay it back. But don't write that down. Write down the value, or the size of the loan after 2 years is $6,498.61. This is question 2D. Use a finance solver to determine the value of the following compound interest investment. This is money out of your pocket into the bank, remember, because it's an investment or a savings. And we want to know how much the money will be worth after 5 years. Again, we're not putting anything else in or taking anything else out. That comes later. So going back up to the top again, 5 years compounded fortnightly, 26 fortnights in the year, 5 26s are 130. Interest rate of 2.8%. Present value is 2,000 into the bank, so that goes in as minus 2,000. Again, there's no repayment on this question, so we'll leave that as it is. Didn't like that. Don't worry if it quits, just go apps, finance, enter, and the numbers you had in there will still be the negative 2,000, not minus 2,000. Let's try and solve that one. Alpha solve. There we go. After 5 years with 2.8% added every fortnight, the value of my investment is now $2,300.37. Another question. Question 3. How many months will an investment of $25,000 take to double in value if it is invested at an interest rate of 5.9% a year compounded monthly? So look for what you're being asked. What you're being asked is how many months will an investment take? That means that n is the question that we're going to be solving. So just leave it as 130 because we're going to be asking it to solve it for that value in a minute. Don't worry about changing it. Just put in the new information. We've got 5.9%. Present value of $25,000. It's an investment, so it's out of your pocket into the bank. So it goes in as negative, not minus, negative 25,000. Again, we're still doing no repayments. That comes into later exercise, I guess. We want to know how long it's going to take to double. So double is 50,000. So at the end of this period, whatever it is, you'll be getting 50,000 back in your pocket. So that goes in as a positive. monthly, so let's change that to 12, and we'll go up to n to solve it. Alpha solve. And according to this, it's going to take 141.3 periods, which is worth thinking about. And we're talking about monthly, so it's 141 months, which is just under 12 years. It's 11 years and 9 months or something like that. We're not sure whether they'll want an answer like that. Let's have a look. According to the textbook, the answer is 142 months, which means that we have to round it up because it's going to be 141 and a bit months, so your very last repayment will be a small amount. You can even use this calculator to find out how much that last repayment is. It says round your answer up to the nearest month. There's 142 months. Okay. I can now, if I followed all that, use TVM Solver to calculate some simple compound interest problems, and they get much more complicated. So I've done one or two of the questions in exercise B. Make sure you can do all of those until you can use TVM Solver without any trouble.